Ladies and gentlemen, the secret place is not a location, it is a surrender. It is not a room with four walls. It is not found behind locked doors or in some mountain cave. It is not even about how long you pray or how loud you cry. No. The secret place is not where you go with your body. It is where your spirit bows. It is where the noise of the world fades into silence and only one presence matters. It is not a place we find by striving but by yielding, not through effort, but through a holy letting go. Too many are trying to climb into the supernatural. Too many are working and sweating and pressing, trying to touch the hem of heaven with their own hands. But the power of God is not unlocked by effort. It is unlocked by surrender. In that quiet, holy yielding, the soul finds its rest in Him. There is no striving there. There is no performing there. You cannot impress your way into the secret place. You cannot earn it. You must empty yourself. He is not looking for your perfection. He is looking for your surrender, your obedience, your honesty, your stillness. The secret place is not reserved for the spiritually elite. It is open to the broken, the weary, the hungry. It is not a VIP room in heaven. It is a sanctuary for the soul who whispers, God, I have nothing, but I want you. You must come to the end of yourself to enter. You must be willing to lose your grip on your plans, your pride, your timing. You must be willing to be undone. For in that holy undoing you will begin to hear the whisper of the Spirit, that still small voice that doesn't thunder with noise but pierces with truth. And oh, when you hear that whisper, something inside you breaks, and yet you are more whole than you have ever been. The secret place is where your identity is not in your gifting, not in your ministry, not in what others say about you. It is where you learn that it is enough to be His, just His. It is where the applause of man fades away, and you are satisfied with His gaze alone. No spotlight, no stage, no performance. Just you and Him. It is not a one-time visit. It is a lifestyle of quiet surrender. It is waking in the morning with a heart that says, before I face the world, I must face you. It is walking through the day with a continual turning of the heart, a leaning inward, a listening for His breath, His heartbeat, His tug. You can be in a crowd and still be in the secret place. You can be at work, at school, in a busy kitchen and still be there. Because it's not the outer environment. It's the inner posture, the bowed soul, the quiet trust, the unclenched hand. Oh, how many have missed it because they were looking for something external. They thought they had to journey far, attend some conference, sit under the ministry of some great name. But the kingdom is not over here or over there. The kingdom is within you. The secret place is within reach, but it demands something this world despises. It demands stillness. And stillness is only possible when the soul is not fighting for control. And in that stillness, in that invisible sanctuary, there comes a fragrance, a sweetness, a presence that cannot be explained, only encountered. And when He comes, you do not stand tall, you fall. You fall on your face, you fall in your heart, not from fear, but from wonder, from awe, from a love so overwhelming, so holy, so other, that all you can do is weep. In that place there is no ambition, no agenda. You are not there to get something, to achieve something, to even ask for something. You are there because He is enough. Just to be with Him, just to hear Him breathe, just to lay your head on His chest and know that He is God. And there in the surrender comes the unlocking. Not because you twisted His arm with your prayers, but because He finally had all of you. Not because you shouted louder, but because you listened deeper. His power is not like man's power. It is not cold, or hard or boastful. It is gentle, holy. It moves in quiet spaces. It moves in surrendered hearts. And when that power touches you in the secret place, it changes everything. It does not inflate your ego. It destroys it. It does not puff you up. It melts you down. And in that melting, something is formed that no earthly fire can produce. Something eternal. Something that shines not with the light of man, but with the radiance of heaven itself. You become marked, not with a title, not with a name, but with a presence, with a fragrance, with a stillness that speaks louder than words. And people will ask, what happened to you? And you will not have the words, because it cannot be explained, it cannot be taught. It can only be found. In the secret place, God's power moves where there is no resistance, not where the flesh is loud, not where the will is strong, not where the heart is divided. His power is not like the world's power. It does not crash in. It does not force its way through pride or push past human agendas. It hovers, it waits. It seeks the one who has made room, the one who has laid down their weapons, the one who has come not to demand, but to yield. He moves where there is no resistance. Oh, how many cry out for power, but they have not yielded. They want miracles, but they do not want to be emptied. They want the wind of the Spirit, but they have not opened the windows of their soul. They ask for fire, but they hold on to control. And yet they wonder why the power of God seems distant, unpredictable, rare. But you see, the power of God is not rare. Surrender is. His power is always present, always willing, always longing to flow. But it cannot flow where there is pride. It cannot move where the heart is stubborn, where the flesh is still wrestling for attention. He will not compete. He will not shout over your voice. He will not overpower your will. He waits for the invitation, and the invitation is not in words. It is in yielding. You may have memorized scripture, you may have prayed for hours, you may have fasted and worshipped and served. But if there is resistance in your soul, if there is something you are still holding on to, some part of yourself you have not laid down, then the river of God's power is still dammed. It cannot move freely through a vessel that is half full of self. Oh, how easy it is to resist without realizing it. We resist when we assume. We resist when we carry offense. We resist when we insist on our way, our timeline, our understanding. We resist when we try to do His work in our strength. But the Holy Spirit is not impressed with effort. He is drawn to emptiness. He is drawn to yieldedness. The moment the soul bows low, truly low, not in performance, but in quiet honesty, the river begins to flow. There are places in the spirit that cannot be entered by strength. They are too holy, too weighty, too precious for self to touch. The only door is humility. The only key is surrender. And when we finally fall back into His arms, when we stop striving to earn what can only be received, the heavens begin to open. That's where His power flows, not to lift up man, but to glorify the Son. Not to make names great, but to reveal the name above all names. The power of God does not crash down, it descends, it settles, it rests, like a dove on the one who has made themselves still. That's why Jesus moved with such authority. He never resisted the Father. His will was perfectly surrendered. Not my will, but thine be done. That was not just a line in Gethsemane. It was the posture of His entire life. And so the Spirit came and remained, not visited, but remained. And so it must be with us. If we want His power, we must want His will more. If we want to walk in the supernatural, we must first be willing to die to the natural. Our natural ways, natural thinking, natural defenses. There can be no mixture, no hidden motives, no bargaining. Just a simple, quiet, uncluttered yes. And when that yes comes from deep within, not from fear, not from manipulation, but from a place of holy love, then the resistance is broken, the walls fall, the dams burst, and the Spirit begins to move not in chaos, but in peace, not with noise, but with glory. Not with flash, but with weight. You feel it in the atmosphere, you feel it in your bones. A holy hush comes. A reverence, a trembling that is not of fear, but of awe. You don't have to scream for power. You don't have to chase it. You just have to become the kind of place where the Holy Spirit wants to dwell. A vessel emptied of self, a heart not divided, a will laid down. And in that place of total tender surrender, God comes in power, not to entertain but to transform, not to give you a platform but to make you an altar, not to show you off but to burn you holy. And oh, when he finds such a place, he does not hold back. His presence comes with healing in his wings. His breath blows away decades of pain in a moment. His voice shatters chains no counseling could reach. His eyes pierce through every mask, every layer, until only truth remains. And it is there in that holy exposure that power flows, not to destroy, but to deliver, not to shame, but to sanctify, not to impress, but to inhabit. He moves where there is no resistance, where the soul is soft, where the heart is pliable, where the mind is quieted. He moves like water, filling every low place, like wind, entering through every open space, like fire, consuming only what is offered, and the more surrendered the vessel, the more powerfully he flows. It is not about volume, it is not about effort, it is not about having all the right words or doing all the right things. It is about having nothing in the way. Nothing in between you and him, no conditions, no reservations, just the silent, sacred prayer of the soul that says, Lord, I am yours. You cannot unlock power without first unlocking intimacy. Power is not a performance, it is a person. It is not a formula, it is a relationship. The kind of power that heals, delivers, restores, and raises the dead does not come by mechanics but by abiding. It comes from the nearness of knowing him, truly knowing him, not as an idea, not as a theology, but as the living one who walks and breathes and speaks and waits in the silence for you to come close. Intimacy is the secret currency of the kingdom. It is not visible to men, but it is everything in heaven. The devil does not fear the loud. He does not fear the educated. He fears the one who knows their God. Not the one who knows about him, but the one who has sat at his feet, who has learned his rhythms, who can recognize his whisper in a sea of noise. This is why the secret place matters, because power is not something you put on like a jacket. It is something born from being with him. You do not carry authority just because you have a microphone or a title. Authority is given in the quiet places, when heaven sees that you have chosen him over everything else. When he becomes your portion, not your platform. When his presence is not just your desire, but your dwelling. So many want the power, but they do not want the process. They want to call down fire, but they have not laid themselves on the altar. They want to walk in authority, but they have not walked in intimacy. They want miracles, but they do not want him. They want his hands, but not his face. And they wonder why nothing changes when they pray. But the power of God flows through friendship, through union, through the heart that stays close even when there is no audience, even when the heavens seem silent, even when the blessings feel delayed. That kind of heart, faithful, tender, surrendered, that is the one who unlocks power. Not because they chased it, but because they chased him. He does not give his secrets to strangers. He does not pour out his glory where there is no trust. Just as you would not give your most vulnerable truth to someone who barely knows you, neither does the Lord release his deepest power to those who have not drawn near. He longs to share his heart, but it is with the ones who will steward it, who will not use it for their own fame, but for his. Intimacy is where you learn his voice, not the voice of religion, not the voice of the crowd, but the voice that speaks deep within. It's the place where you are no longer moved by emotions or platforms or opinions. You are moved by Him. One word from Him becomes your anchor. One glance becomes your joy. One breath from heaven becomes more precious than 1,000 likes, 1,000 followers, 1,000 earthly rewards. And it is there, in the holy stillness, that the power begins to grow, like oil in a hidden flask, like fire on a quiet altar. You may not see it at first. Others may not notice. But heaven sees. Heaven records. Heaven weighs. And when the time is right, when the vessel has been formed in the fire of intimacy, then the power flows. Not through striving, but through rest. Not through shouting, but through abiding. You begin to speak, and the atmosphere shifts, not because of you, but because of who you carry. You lay your hand on the sick, and healing comes, not because of your gift, but because of your union. You whisper a prayer, and demons flee. Not because of your words, but because of your oneness with the Word. This is the great mystery. The closer you get to Him, the less you need to strive. His strength becomes your strength. His authority becomes your covering. His presence becomes your weapon. And the enemy knows it. The enemy will do anything to keep you from intimacy because he knows if you unlock that door, you become unstoppable, not because of your power, but because of His power flowing freely through an unhindered, yielded life. So many chase stages, so many chase influence, but the true power is found in obscurity, in the secret history you build with God, in the mornings when no one sees, in the tears cried in the dark, in the worship sung when there is no music, no lights, no applause. And it is in that place that you are known. It is in that place that power is planted. And when the time comes for that power to be seen, it will not be performance. It will be overflow. It will not draw eyes to you. It will lift every eye to Him. And people will wonder how you walk in such power, and you will not boast, because you will know. You will know the cost. You will know the nights, you will know the whispers, you will know the fire, and you will say, this is not mine, this is His, all His. Because power without intimacy is dangerous, but intimacy births a power that is pure, holy, unstoppable. It is not laced with ego, it is not distorted by pride. It is power that heals because it comes from love. It is power that transforms because it comes from truth. It is power that endures because it comes from presence. And in the end, you will find that the power was never the goal. He was. And the miracle is not just what He does through you, but that He chose to dwell with you. That He made His home in your heart. That you, fragile vessel though you are, became a carrier of His glory. Not because you reached for power, but because you reached for Him. The secret place is not a hiding place from the world. It is a birthing chamber for divine authority. It is where you are not merely comforted but commissioned. You do not enter just to find peace. You enter to receive orders. It is not simply where burdens are lifted. It is where mantles are placed. That sacred space of intimacy and surrender becomes the very ground where heaven imparts the kind of authority that the earth cannot understand and hell cannot withstand. Authority is not the same as charisma. It does not come from personality or eloquence. True authority does not shout to be heard. It carries a weight that cannot be ignored. It is not dependent on a crowd or a stage or a microphone. It walks quietly but carries fire. It does not need to announce itself because when it enters the room, everything else bows. Atmospheres shift, not because of the volume of the voice, but because of the depth of the walk. The kind of authority that turns nations, that binds principalities, that heals what doctors couldn't touch, is not given in public. It is forged in the secret. You receive it when no one is watching, when your prayers are not poetic but desperate. When the tears fall and the words fail, but your spirit whispers, "Yes, Lord, still yes." That is where it comes. That is where heaven marks you. You will not be able to trace the exact moment it happens. There will be no trumpet sound, no flash of light, but one day you will speak and the room will grow still. You will pray and the heavens will answer. You will worship and chains will fall from people who are standing near you, not because you are special, but because you have been with Him. Because the secret place was not just a room you visited, it became your dwelling. Authority is not something you take, it is something you are trusted with. And God does not give that kind of trust to those who flirt with His presence. He gives it to those who have died 1,000 deaths before Him. Those who have laid down dreams, agendas, titles, reputations, all for the sake of being one with Him. Authority is the fruit of hidden obedience. It is born in the 1,000 small yeses that no one ever applauds, but heaven never forgets. There is no shortcut, no spiritual loophole. You cannot fast-track this. You cannot borrow someone else's oil, someone else's fire. You cannot ride on the authority of your pastor, your mentor, your lineage. Heaven waits for your yes, for your surrender, for your consistency in the quiet. Because in the secret place, God does not anoint who you pretend to be. He anoints who you really are. The stripped down, undone, raw version of you that still dares to say. And when He finds that heart, He clothes it, not in garments stitched by human hands, but in robes woven from glory. He places authority on your shoulders like a mantle, and suddenly you begin to walk in a dimension of boldness and clarity you never had before. You see differently. You discern differently. You speak, and it carries weight. Not arrogance, but heavenly gravity. Not pride, but spiritual precision. Hell recognizes this authority. Demons do not tremble at emotion. They tremble at authority. You can cry, shout, and stomp, but if you have no authority, nothing moves. But when authority is upon you, even a whisper becomes a weapon. You do not need to prove yourself. You just need to walk in what you've received. And when you speak, the realm of darkness listens. Not because of who you are, but because of who backs you. This is why the secret place must remain central, because authority that is not rooted in intimacy will become corrupted by ego. Power without presence becomes performance. But when the weight of authority rests on someone who has been crushed in the presence of God, it is pure. It is holy. It doesn't draw attention to the vessel, it magnifies the one who fills the vessel. God is still looking for such people. Not the talented, not the polished, but the yielded. Those who will pay the hidden price, who will endure the inner pruning, who will allow themselves to be made small in the eyes of men so they can be mighty in the spirit. He is not impressed by crowds. He is looking for the one who knows how to bow in secret, who knows how to hear His whisper in the noise of 1,000 voices. And when that one emerges from the secret place, they do not come out the same. They are not louder, but they are clearer. They are not puffed up, but they are carrying something. You can feel it in the room. It rests on them, moves through them, not because they sought to be powerful, but because they chose to be His. And heaven responded with trust. They begin to move in assignments, not just activities. They begin to carry burdens that are not their own, but the Lord's. They become intercessors in silence, warriors in the spirit, voices that carry weight because they have been with the one whose voice shakes the heavens. And wherever they go, something shifts, not because of them, but because of the one who walks with them, because of the secret they carry, because of the mantle that was given not in front of a crowd, but in the quiet furnace of His presence. This is what the secret place produces. Not just comfort, but commission. Not just healing, but holy assignment. Not just peace, but presence with purpose. And those who carry it know that they are not their own. They walk softly. They speak carefully. They listen often. Because they know the cost. And they know the power they walk in is not from them. It is through them, a divine flow that can only be sustained when the heart stays close, hidden, bowed low, burning in love with the one who gave it all.